Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Cheese Room podcast. I'm your host, as ever, the caller, live from the man cave in deepest, darkest Midlands. Joining me, he's been away for a couple of shows, even left the WhatsApp group this week, but he's back with a bang, and he's probably very smug because he called the 1-0 defeat correctly on social media. So I'm trying to preempt the smugness by putting it out there that HG, well done, you got something right, is good.
Thank you. It does seem to happen every show, these kind of cautious applause that you give me. But yeah, to be fair, I'll be honest, I didn't really predict it. I just said it wouldn't surprise me if it happened. And then it went and happened. So it made me look like something special when maybe not as special as I actually am. But I'm good. I'm happy to be back on the show. I'm really happy to see Stevie's face because it's been a while. And I just can't wait to talk about Spurs in the future as opposed to Spurs in the past.
I mean, first, there's a couple of takeouts from that. Number one, you are very special to us. So, you know, the second is a broken clock is right twice a day anyway. Anyway.
Twice a week, twice a month, I'll take them all. But yeah.
We'll move on. And I understand. Well, no, before I move on, actually, I understand you went to a game this weekend.
Yes.
We've got some pictures. That's Vienna versus Salzburg, was it?
It was Austria Vienna against Red Bull Salzburg. Yeah, it was quite a nice day. And then, look, a half decent tifo, a club that's probably not considered half decent, but the home fans really got into it. It was a somewhat important game. Salzburg are miles clear at the top of the table, but I got a free ticket, and it was a nice place to go. A couple of hours. The only problem is that you see all the sun was in the east stand, so we were just freezing in the wind because there was no sun where we were, but everyone else was having a whale of a time. But no, it was fun. I mean, football's always good, isn't it? Even if you know the quality isn't going to be that good, it was still fun to go and watch.
Good. Glad you had a good Easter and weekend. And moving on, Steve, first time on the show for a little bit. I like the hat. It looks like a great white shark or something wonderful. You're clearly going for the Paul Muir look tonight. A bit of headwear on the go.
I'm going for the older JP look. I don't think I'm quite as young and hip as him, but yeah, good to be back. But I'm in a bit of a grump. Started keto today, so no more nice food. I'm not drinking from today, so no more nice drink.
Can I just ask, are match days included in this keto stuff? Because I have been chuckling to myself going, go on then, Steve, how long's this going to last? Day 3, I'll be going, fuck off, I'm not doing this anymore.
Coke.
Yeah.
Coke, Diet Coke and vodka is keto friendly. And if it's keto friendly, it's Steve friendly, and it's going to get drunk.
So, what will you be drinking at the next Spurs home game?
Champagnes. That's also keto friendly as well, apparently. So
it's keto friendly. Brilliant. I love it. Well, look, I've said already. Was Shan at the game at the weekend? She wasn't at the game and she didn't watch it, so we can't stitch it on her. But Steve was back. Conte came a little bit disappointing, really, because basically nothing happened, did it?
You got a bit grumpy, but that's about it. So it's very disappointing. The entire game is disappointing, but I'm very sure we'll get onto that in due course.
Yeah, well, HG's already asked if we can cover it in as least detail as possible, so I will consider that request. And also, she can't be blamed either. Becky, it's not your fault you weren't there. You were getting sossled, weren't you?
I was, yeah. I had a valid excuse, and I was so grateful to have a valid excuse, yeah. And because of that, I got a bit drunk and I don't really remember the game. So my analysis will be short and sweet as well.
Yeah.
I think so usually you would go cooler, and usually Becky goes. Steve was there this time, but basically, is it a cooler and Becky like the two that chant? Because it was really quiet. Like it felt bad.
I think Jack. I think my Jack normally does quite a lot of singing. He wasn't there to sing, so maybe that was why as well.
I definitely do cheer and chant, but yeah,
it felt like a morgue. The thing to be expecting to win. But it's that age-old conundrum. Like, who starts who off? Do the fans get the players going, or do the fans going? And sadly, we were just kind of looking at each other. But everyone in the stadium was just kind of looking at each other, going, "Is this really happening?" Rather than actually trying to stop it. But
I listen to the chanting and I appreciate it.
Yeah, Steve
Very
just
good,
sort
Steve.
of posts a glass to it, normally, sort of. Yeah,
No, I did have a bit of a thing fun. They play.
Yeah,
I don't know if they played it at the other home games, but they played "Can't Smile Without You" to begin with.
we're going to get on with that, Steve. Don't you worry. We're going to get on to that. There's been a
Was it
poll,
on the run sheet that I don't have access to, maybe?
possibly. But,
The run sheet
don't
that
worry
I
about
need.
it. You've got access to it now. Stop bitching. Even John's accused you of bitching. WhatsApp group. Lunchtime games have a poor atmosphere. Hi, John. Shout out, John, the man behind the run sheets, as well as Dave. Obviously, shout out to Dave. Yeah, they often do have a poor a poor atmosphere, don't they? What do we put that down to, Steve? People not being lubricated enough.
I think a little bit, but also. It's an interesting point HG mentioned. I think it's kind of the fans and the players get each other kind of going. So from the start, it's very flat, and I felt a bit nervous in the stadium, and everybody felt to me within 5 minutes a little bit Spursy, and hasn't felt like that for a while. I think there's a bit of anxiety in the stadium, and nobody got going, neither the players nor the crowd.
Yeah. What we needed was a few of those suicide challenges that Villa put in. That gets the crowd pumped up, doesn't it? But we couldn't even do that. Let's talk about the game if we absolutely have to. And of course, there wasn't really that much change in the starting 11, HG. Just pretty much what we expected to see.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the injured Reguilon came on from Villa. You figured he'd be the one to start, and that's what happened. It was all the fears that people might have had, and there were a few that did have some fears. We kind of know the strengths of that 11, but also the weaknesses as well. And so, like, I think we understand now that, like, if teams do what Brighton did, then this particular 11, as good as they are, struggle to find the answers. So it's I think we were happy when we saw the 11, but it's all about what can they do on the pitch, and can they go out there and do what's required.
Becky, a lot of people hoping that Brighton were on the beach, but was it Spurs who were at the Masters? We just didn't get going at all, did we? Right from the kickoff.
Yeah, and I think there's been a lot of flack against Kane, but it wasn't just Kane. It very much reminded me of the Borough away match, which I was at, where no one turned up. We've managed before one or two have not had performances that we needed, but it was everybody that didn't appear, and that's too many. People have said about if when Winks came on, it's like playing with 10 men. When Emerson's playing, it's like playing with 10 men. But really, there wasn't anybody that had a decent enough performance, and we aren't a side that can be carried when there's that many people that don't show up. And that was what it was like. And I think the crowd picked up that kind of vibe, and it was just very lethargic. It felt like a kind of pre-season game, in the sunshine, and everyone's having a nice time, and they just never got going.
I think this is it. I think so many people were looking forward to this game. We're on a roll, 4 wins on the bounce. Can we make it 5? Brighton just knocked off the Gooners last week, so clearly no mugs, but an absolute banana skin. And Steve, you haven't been to a game for bloody ages, so you must have been really looking forward to it. How much did you think? Oh, typical Spurs when the game started.
Yeah, I caught that a lot. It's just like I said before, it's so flat. And it's a boring watch. I don't think Brighton brought much to the game, to be honest. I mean, they executed the game plan perfectly. They aggravated us. They pushed high up. Whenever we tried to play it out from the back, we just had 4 of their players right in front of us. So it was either a long ball up front, or a ball into quite often Emerson, who then lost it. I think Kane. I almost always agree with you, Becky, but I think I will pick out Kane, actually. Just like he had fewer touches than any other outfield player. And his, have a look earlier, just before the show, his passing percentage was 57%. That for a supposed world-class player, and he is, that shocking. So I don't know how much. Obviously he went over in a private jet. It wasn't like he was back of the bus going over there and back. But
I mean, he was back in. I mean, he was back in training on Tuesday, Steve. So I know a lot's been written mainly by Twitter experts, but I mean, he went for a few hours to watch the Masters. He was back. No doubt he was asleep most of the way there and back. In the lap of luxury. Does it really make any difference?
It does, yeah. I mean, even on a private jet, you don't sleep particularly well. Like on no aircraft do you sleep particularly well. The altitude impacts you as well. And I don't know enough about sports science, but I wouldn't be surprised if it also impacts your recovery because there's lower oxygen. Paul Muir probably know a bit more about that. But yeah, there's no way it didn't impact him in some way. Whether it was a lot, I don't know. But professional athletes are, they work in the margins, don't they? That 1 or 2% to make you the better player.
I mean, he wasn't even 50% near his best, I suppose, when we talk about 1 or 2%. But I mean, in terms of Harry Kane, it was golf that caused us an issue last time, wasn't it? With Gary Neville doing a little bit of a round. Does he just need to drop golf, HG? Is that the answer? Then he doesn't get invited to the Masters. No more rounds with Gary Neville. Don't go near a golf course. Don't hang out with Gareth Bale.
Look, I just feel that if we win the game, no one talks about it. I mean, it was a bit weird when we all saw him there thinking, hang on, weren't you just playing like 12 hours ago, it felt like, and suddenly he's on TV again. You do wonder, like, I haven't flown with the luxury that he's used to, but yeah, it does affect your body. It has to affect your body. There's no way around that. And coming back to me always the worst journey. So yeah, like if he was in training on Tuesday, he had more than enough time to get ready for the game, but why allow people to ask that question? It just seems crazy. Like I know they don't get much time to themselves. The football season is pretty much 10, 11 months if you count pre-season. You might get 3-4 weeks in the summer, and you can't do everything you want in that time. But yeah, if you're given 2 days off, go for a swim in your own swimming pool. Don't fly halfway across the world just because you can. And I'm pretty certain that Sky paid for it all. Yeah. So you do wonder, like, I don't know, like all the conspiracy theorists will be thinking that Sky have planned it a long time in advance to try and put him off his game. I can't believe that. Don't believe that. But it just doesn't look good. Like as a professional, I don't care if you've got a day off. At some point, the overriding thing is you've got to think about what you actually do for a living. And maybe I'm being a bit harsh because we lost, but it's just not a good look. And I hope he doesn't do it again. Because it could easily happen this time next year, right? It could. You just got to say no.
I think because he's so influential, when he doesn't have a performance, like I said a minute ago, it just makes a lot of our players drop their performance, and that's why it was like Borough. Son didn't play well. It's just so many of them, and then it's hard to kind of build that momentum. If like Stevie's saying, that those key passes that are coming through Kane, if they're not working, then there's an edge that we've lost. And I think Brighton just built on that, and they kind of gained the confidence more and more and more. Equally, I still think if we're going to not win the game, we shouldn't have lost it. It should have just been played out for a draw, and that didn't happen either.
Yeah, agreed. We should never be losing a game like that in the last minute, but it just seems to happen again and again and again to Spurs. Bless us.
But we do also win in the last minute, not that you'd know because you leave before we win.
Oof, low blow. Yeah, H2, what are you going to say?
No, just the idea that I've forgotten now. The last minute idea, like at the time you are thinking, well, don't lose, because a point is still a point. But yeah, I feel like the Wolves game, their second goal, like every kind of run of the ball went exactly to their player, and that's how they got it in the net. And it felt a little bit like that on Saturday. That okay, we're walking around a little bit, but any other time Romero gets the ball and stands up with it and just keeps going, and yet for some reason it ran away from him this time, and Trossard took advantage. Like sometimes you just think that like you could have that situation another 10 times and it wouldn't happen that way for the other 9. But like it was a bad day at the office, and that last-minute goal just really crowned it all off, despite the fact it made me look good. I mean, I didn't want to. I wish I'd been wrong on that one. But, that's Spurs.
Should have been a red card during the game, though, HG, shouldn't there? I think there's certainly a feeling that Brighton were a little bit overzealous at times.
I remember Kulusevski's elbow. I mean, Mwepu got booked for standing on someone's foot, and then he did it again. And you're just like, if it was a booking first time around, and it should have been one the second time around. But you also know that no referee's going to give that. I mean, it's just like, if you get booked for accidentally standing on someone's foot, I think that's pretty harsh in the first place, if I'm honest, because I don't think any player really intends to do that. They try and get the ball, and unfortunately, the feet kind of meet, and that's what happens. So, but it would have been lovely for Spurs had it happened, but would we have taken advantage? Probably not. I mean, that's the crazy thing. Saturday was more about Spurs and how bad we looked when we couldn't deal with what
we had in front of us, I think, is what HG is trying to say. He's frozen a bit there. Stevie, I've just seen this from Paul, and it's pretty much my thoughts entirely. Potter out thought Conte didn't have a plan B. For all his gesturing and chest pumping and all the rest of it, it's kind of frustrating. We've seen this happen a couple of times, and we picked up on it in the preview. What happens when they put three in midfield against our two, and we came to the conclusion, well, Kane will drop deep and it'll be okay. But Kane wasn't really doing that, and this is not the first time it's happened to us this season. Just thoughts on it?
I mean, when teams set up against us like Brighton do, or did, and when they frustrate us, let's face it, no disrespect to Brighton, they played for the result in terms of they were falling down quite a bit. There were quite a few what I call cynical injuries, and there's a couple of times when one of their players could have got booked, and after the tackle they're on the ground screaming in agony, and all of a sudden after the referee decides not to book them, suddenly they're up and they're okay. So I think they played a clever game. If Mourinho was here, he'd say the clever C term. But we just can't break teams down like that. Particularly not if Kane doesn't drop deep and if Son's not running in behind, and neither of those things happened.
Well, I mean, frustrating though it is, we're here talking about it now. There's 70 people watching. Do please smash the like button as you come into the room, really helps us. And while you're here, grab a channel membership. I can see we've got some channel members in the chat, so welcome to Kerry, Paul. Have we got any more in? I've seen those two guys. Yeah.
So, while you look at that, I was thinking maybe it was last season at some point. I talked about, under Mourinho, that Spurs never really had the balance right. Like, we were very defensive, and we were relying on two and a half players to do all the attacking, right? Because it was Bergwijn who was there, but not really contributing too much, and Son and Kane were doing most of it. And after a while, I think I compared it to a cricket team, that you need to have some bowlers in there to actually get the other team out. You can't just have batsmen to score lots of runs. You have to have both sides of the game. And the first 11 we have right now, at least the best 11, the one that we think will start because Doherty's out, there's too many defenders. There aren't enough attackers in there. Like, people have talked about the wing backs, and they've said, Reggie's not good enough in certain areas, and Sessegnon might be a better aspect going forward, which I would agree with. And it's the same on the other side, like with Emerson. Like, we don't have an obvious choice to be more attacking down the wings, but if you've got three centre backs and two midfielders that are quite happy to sit, that's five players. That should be enough to deal with whatever attacks, or even whatever counter-attacks are coming your way. You can be, I think, a bit more adventurous with your wing-backs. And you could ask Lucas to do that job, or you could ask Sessegnon to do that job. And then you're playing with, in effect, a front five. And that would allow Kane or Kulusevski to drop deep. That would allow Son the chance to run in behind. And you just have more threat. If I'm the wing-backs for Brighton, I mean, Trossard is a winger, and he was playing left wing-back. Why can't Spurs do that? Canels does it for Brentford as well. He's a right winger, and he tends to play as a wing back for them. I just think, if we're that intent on playing this 3-4-3 system, and the wing backs have to be attacking, then why not try to be a bit more attacking? I mean, after Lucas came on, there was certainly one chance where he took on, is it Cucurella, and just beat him for pace down the outside. It was one of the few times I saw us actually be exciting in that second half, and all Lucas did was really just run with the ball. He didn't even have to beat him; he just ran past him. So I think that, like, yes, in certain games you might want to be a bit more defensive, and you might say, okay, look, I'll take one wing back that is defensive and one wing back that isn't, because it's not like Davies isn't comfortable covering down the sides, and you get the impression that Romero's comfortable wherever he is on the pitch. Yeah. So we just need to think, okay, like, what is the best way we can be good defending and good attacking? Because when teams play like Brighton did, we can't attack. It's not that we're no good at it; we just can't get the ball to those three players.
One of the things that I felt during it is because of those sort of early challenges, where Kulusevski, sort of got very cross and sort of flapped his arm back, and then the challenges, I think that it frightened some of them because of what happened to Doherty last week. And I think when we know that accidental thing on Kane when he hurt his ankle, I think it was this sense of if I get injured, this is probably my season over. And I think a lot of it was kind of fairly half-hearted in case they didn't get themselves injured, because the Doherty thing has scared them that might be it now. And it was almost like a sort of, well, we'll just have Brighton as a bit of as a free one, and we'll be okay for some of the maybe more important matches. I just think everything was a bit half-hearted, and I think possibly injury was one of the worries for that because of what happened last weekend, because it was so like bloodthirsty last week, and it added the first sort of half an hour had that same sort of intensity. There was lots of challenges that were kind of not being dealt with, and I think that possibly had maybe something to do as well. Or I'm just finding excuses. I don't know.
So excuses. You say excuses. I say reasons. We talked about it briefly before. Steve, you were in the stadium. Kulusevski, was he lucky not to escape a red card for his flying elbow?
Won't lie, I didn't actually see it. I was trying to do Conte Cam at the time, so I totally missed it. It was only when John sent the video afterwards when I saw it, and yeah, I mean, he was lucky, and if that had connected, that's a straight red, and nobody could argue with that. So he was a lucky boy, and I don't quite get it. So it was almost a if I can say this without triggering HG, a Lamella-like incident, wasn't it? It was a very kind of petulant Lamella type attack.
You're saying it was low quality, is what you're saying. It was unnecessary. It was poor.
It was a low quality elbow. It didn't even make contact.
No. At least Lamella would have made contact. We all know that.
We know that.
It was quite out of character, I think, which is possibly what did him a good favour, I think, and maybe that inexperience has benefited him because he's not known for being like that, and so hopefully that's one of the reasons as well.
The funny thing is, like, we're all sitting here, annoyed that we took that 1 point and then turned it into 0. Yeah. But like, if you're given the choice, you'd rather have Kulusevski available for the next couple of games and not get a red card and lose than get the point and have Kulusevski out, because then then Lucas is going to start probably, and we all know that doesn't really work either. So as much as I'm looking for some kind of silver lining, the fact that he's going to be available for the next couple of games is massive, because we improved hugely with him in the team. So
I think that's why Bentancur was taken off as well, because he was booked, wasn't he? I think that might have been a similar reason for that too.
Yeah, I agree. I'm glad you brought Bentancur up, actually. Do you remember who he got subbed for?
Yeah.
My favourite mate, Harry Winks. There he is. Look at that, 200 appearances.
I think that's such an awful image that they put as well. I just don't think that does him much favour, because to post it while the match was still on as well. A lot of people said this. Why couldn't they just posted it 4 hours later? They posted it during the match as well, and it just looks how we all felt, very sort of angry and frustrated, and it's just an odd image to put out. So the poor admin got hammered for that.
Yeah, got hammered. I think it's a bit harsh, really. I mean, he's just celebrating Harry Winks.
The timing was all a bit weird, though.
Does it matter? I mean, does it matter? I mean, anytime Harry Winks getting 200 games to me is some sort of miracle anyway, if I'm being really honest, for Spurs. But hopefully we'll see the back of him in the summer, and I'll move on from it, because I'm just going to wind myself up, to be honest. He added absolutely nothing to the game, as he always does, but I suppose it was collateral damage for Bentancur having a yellow, like you say.
I don't know. I do sense you're not going to move on from Winks. I mean, HG hasn't moved on.
I'm primed to move on.
Time will tell.
I put Paul's comment up here because it's, I've seen lots of comments, but Paul's is the most succinct here. Like, he doesn't have a plan B. And like, I'm brought back to when Pochettino played three at the back. When we, at the second half of the 16-17 season, when we started basically with, Dyer in the middle and Toby on one side, or maybe Toby was in the middle, but those two and Jan were our back three. And if it wasn't working, Dyer just stepped up into midfield and would often be the defensive midfielder. Now, granted, he may not have had, he had more attacking options ahead of him. Dembele could move a bit forward, or Eriksen or whoever. But there were occasions where he needed to do that. And, granted, like, no one thinks that Ben Davies is a fantastic centre-back if it's just in the back four. But if you put Dyer into midfield, it allows Bentancur especially to move a bit more forward. And like Dyer and Højbjerg as the two in midfield would work. Like, it's an awkward thing to do because I feel like that 11 that we have, there's not much versatility among them. Obviously, Davies can go to left back if needed, but outside of that, there's not a great deal of change of positions available. But it might have helped us just get the ball forward. The amount of times we saw the back three pass it to each other and then pass it forward to Højbjerg, or Bentancur, and neither one of them wanted to play on the half turn, which you have to do. If you're just going to pass it back to the centre halves, then at some point it's just like, well, you need to be 10, 15 yards further forward so the centre backs can do that job. It's not as if they were up against two strikers. Brighton didn't really play with any. So that back three really should have taken more responsibility to move the ball forward and said to the midfield, no, you go, be 15 yards inside their half. Don't be on the halfway line waiting for it. And it's unfortunate that if we're not going to change things up, whether it's formationally or positionally or whatever, with the players you have, then we'll just see what we had on Saturday, and we'll see it repeatedly. At some point, we're going to have to say to Dyer or to whoever, right, no, you go into midfield and the others will move forward. Otherwise, we are stuck. We're absolutely stuck. We can't, like, because people will say, well, bring on Bergwijn because he offers something different to Son.
And same system.
Yeah, exactly. And he's better with his back to goal than Son is. And that's the problem. Like, Brighton were quite happy to have us play it into feet. Right, they didn't want it over the top, but if we weren't making runs anyway, they were just happy regardless. And so you think, okay, when Bergwijn came on, like, obviously he had the half chance just after their goal that he probably should have certainly done better with, but he just looks more comfortable in that role, and that means maybe that Son doesn't play every game, or that Son comes off with half an hour to go rather than 10 minutes. But at some point, Conte has to say, like, as much as these guys might be the better players, it doesn't work today. Let's use the ones where it might work. We have to do something. We can't just hope that the 11 that we've got right now will be enough to win the games, because maybe they won't be.
Here's a question for you, Steve. No, Becky, I'm going to go to this one. How much do we miss the Irish Cafu, Mr. Doherty?
And I think, again, it's that idea that we can't believe that we were all saying this. And when it was announced last weekend that he was injured, and the disappointment that came from that's how much he's improved and how much we do rely on him. And I didn't think Emerson played horrendous on Saturday, because the standard was very poor for all of them. He wasn't certainly the worst player, but it's the position that he's got Doherty playing in is giving us another option of going forward, and we are really missing that. And Reguilón, bless him, spends so long on much of the time on the floor that he's not really the answer either. So yeah, we're massively missing him.
Who'd have thought we'd ever say that, Steve?
We didn't, did we? But yeah, I couldn't agree more with what Becky said. We did miss him. Like, I don't think Emerson is as bad as everybody makes out he is.
Oh, he's not. He's not.
He's not very good. I mean, he's not as bad as Aurier. And he's not disruptive in the changing room. He's not calamity at back. He's just got absolutely nothing going forward. Although he did create quite a few fouls. He did make quite a few fouls on Saturday. I think more than any other of our players. So Yeah.
I sat next to Caller at the Newcastle game, right? And we sat there first half and we watched, Emerson was outside the pitch and we commented on how he doesn't know when to attack. It's not even that that he doesn't know what to do if he's got the ball. He doesn't know when to make the run. He just feels so unsure. And I suspect that Reguilon is somewhat similar on the other side. Like Reguilon is a fullback that likes to attack, but in that Sevilla team, he usually had a winger in front of him, so he could join in the attacks rather than be the attack. And I think both of them are just a bit nervous about being caught out, that they end up not doing what they're in the team to do. If you're going to have, and we often saw, was it last season when Sissoko would cover for Aurier when Aurier bombed forward, or 2 seasons ago, whenever that was. You have to think that Højbjerg is willing to do that dirty work. Bentancur is willing to do that. They've shown it. So as much as I don't want to see fullbacks out of position, when you've got 5 defenders in the team, go for it. Become the highest line, like Aurier was that one season with Jose. He was basically a winger. That's what we need Emerson to do right now. We don't need him to be a defensive fullback.
He's not going to be.
It's annoying
let's be realistic about it. He's not going to be. He can't push forward. He's not capable.
But also, you could see where they just didn't pass to him. There was a few times, maybe in the first 20 minutes, where Emerson is out on the wide, on the right, and Romero didn't pass it to him, and then they gave another option, and it was always like, well, it's like almost like you think they don't trust him as well. So you can see that because there was options to give it to him, and they didn't.
Yeah. I mean,
his decision making going forward isn't great. I'll grant you that.
No, that's the issue, and that's why people have been clamouring for Lucas or Bergwijn to start down that right hand side as a right wing back. But fundamentally, we're going to have to find out a solution to the issue because.
Do you think he'll play Sessegnon on Saturday? Do you think he'll make the change or stick with it?
I think he likes Sessegnon over Reguilon. But I think the problem is I don't think he trusts Sessegnon's fitness right now and match sharpness. And I think Reguilon's just ahead of him in terms of recovery. I think if you were starting the season with everyone fit, I think you'd see Sessegnon more than you would see Reguilon, personally.
If Sessegnon starts, it's in place of Reguilon. I don't see him changing Emerson because I don't think...
No, he won't. He won't change Reguilon.
But I mean, we've seen him play inverted wing backs before. So, like, if you put Sessegnon on that side, like, I don't like the idea. I would much rather see Lucas do it. But that's just like the thing is, he turned Victor Moses into a title-winning wing-back, and Victor Moses wasn't that great going forward when he was a winger, but he understood what to do. I just think that you could get that from Lucas. Whatever Victor Moses gave Chelsea, I think Lucas could give it for Spurs. Certainly, be much better going forward than Emerson is. And like again, I don't blame Emerson for not being good at that. It's never been his game. It's just a poor signing. But if we want attacking width down the right hand side, Lucas has always been that person for me. So I just think if you say Reguilon, keep him on the left hand side because you don't need too much maybe down that side because Son's there anyway. But on the right hand side, with Kulusevski who wants to cut in, you need someone to run down the outside, and that would be Lucas's job. He's perfect for it.
Yeah, except whenever we see him play, he cuts in and goes through the middle anyway.
But I wouldn't want him to do that. Like I hated him when he was.
I know.
You know how I felt about Lucas.
It's his default position, though, isn't it? That's the thing. It's what he does.
Just get him to hug the touchline. That's how he made his name. He was a number 7 winger, a traditional number 7 winger in Brazil, and then he went over to France. I just think that Romero's a bloody good defender. I think Romero would be okay, right? And so I want to see us be a bit more attacking. I don't think it's asking for much. I understand that people will, he's not great defensively, Lucas. I don't think that's probably true, but we need more oomph down that side, and Lucas would give it. And I don't rate Lucas as a player, but I think in this system, he's the best option we have.
Yeah, and he's made some tackles in his time, and he cares for the team, and he kind of mucks in, doesn't he? So he's going to be one of those players who would track back when needed, not do an RPA, and kind of come at a slow trot back, which he did most of the time.
Yeah,
yes,
Terry, Adrian's right.
Terry, I'm drinking water, by the way, and yes, I'm slightly poorly. I've still got a little bit of leftovers from my tonsillitis, so a bit of a cough. Yeah, we're delicate soul, so water today. No beer. Had enough of that on Friday night, I think.
But Adrian's right. Bergwijn did the same for Mourinho. Like Bergwijn or Lucas, either or. I just think personally that Lucas is more suited to it, and Bergwijn is probably better to be, one of the front three that can hold the ball up, because Kane does it, Kulusevski does it. Bergwijn might be a better fit on the other side anyway, in various occasions. But I just think that we've got to change it up, because Brentford will keep the ball. They'll have numbers in midfield. Like obviously Eriksen will almost certainly play.
Yeah.
They'll have two strikers, which means that our centre halves will have to be a bit more just aware of what's ahead of them. But we have to do something. We've got to be able to progress the ball down the wings, because if they clog up the middle like Brighton did, that is the solution.
Yeah, but to be fair to Spurs, we're better at when the team comes onto us, and Brentford will attack us in a way that we just didn't happen
in a way that Brighton won't. No, that is true. I mean, they'll play differently to Brighton because they're at home, and right now they've got very little to lose. They've won 5 games out of 6 with Eriksen. Brentford are in a happy place, which is good for us. But if teams do what Brighton did, and Brentford, if they're going for points, will probably think that is the best way to do it. We have to figure out what works best for Spurs. I'm not worried about their left wing back scoring goals. Maybe I should be, but I'm not. I'm worried about our right wing back going forward and doing what's necessary for Spurs.
I think we've become easy to read, and teams are working this out, which is such a shame, because we thought Conte would be that person that would have all these different sort of strategies that he could, use it, and instead we've become easy and obvious to play against, and that's a bit of a worry for next year.
I think he's got to get the right players in to adapt it. I don't think he's got enough people he trusts within the squad. I'd look at the bench for a good example of that. I mean, we've got kids on the bench. There's no depth, is there at all? We sent most of our depth out on loan, so I think we'll see what happens in the close season. But I mean, hopefully we'll get at least sort of four players in. I would imagine that's, in my opinion, that's how many we're short of having quality on the bench.
Levy is sat there thinking, we're going to sign Romero. That's one. We're going to sign.
We'll be there.
And then if it's Bale and Eriksen, and then it'd be like, it's not, and Kulusevski, and there's your 4.
We're getting the gang back together, I think. But absolutely need more depth. And then Trossard obviously waltzes through the defence and scores in the last minute of normal time. He was Steve, you in the stadium. Who did you see as to blame for that?
I don't think Dyer helped us out much. He went walkies, but the entire defence was just atrocious. That goal
melted away,
just like I melted away after that goal went in. Went back and had a drink, and I can't bring myself to rewatch that goal. It was too painful. The entire defence for Dyer, I think Dyer in particular, just went walkies, as he does occasionally. I think he's very good, but occasionally he just seems to lose grip on reality of the game.
Yeah, I agree. HG, did you read it as your man crush's fault?
I mean, no one came out looking good, but to me, I didn't read social media, and as you know, I've not been in the cheese room group for a while. But Hugo, what? Why are you trying to kick it with your foot? Like, if he just stands there and use it will save it easily. It wasn't right in the corner off the post. I don't know why Hugo went for it with his feet. He knows he can use his hands. To me, it was a relatively simple save if he just stands up and uses his hands. Maybe I'm being harsh, but I couldn't believe what I saw. He tried to kind of extend his foot and his arms stay by his sides. What are you doing? It was a narrow angle. It was clear where he was going to try and put it, because that's what players do. They're right footed. They'll come in. They'll try and find the far corner. I just think that Hugo could have done a lot better on that. The team was poor. So, but if I'm going to blame someone, then Dyer doesn't look good because the shot should have never come in. He was beaten far too easily, but so was Hugo. It was too easy.
80 people watching, please make sure you hit the like button. That would really help us out. Stats wise, I want to draw this to a close. This Brighton loving, my feelings on Potter as well. Brighton barely scraping the XG. That pretty much tells you it's a pretty rubbish match, wasn't it? And I suppose, look, displeasure would be nil
No.
shots on goal. None.
Yeah.
So we've gone
Yeah.
from free scoring to
Yeah.
literally no shots on goal.
Yeah.
But
Like Nuno.
our XG was higher than Brighton's. Yeah, that
Yeah,
is a key stat.
Not according to that, it
was
wasn't.
crap.
Yeah.
Well, the XG I saw was higher than Brighton's.
Right. Well, I mean, that's the
Yeah.
official, taken from the official XG site. So I don't know what
Numbers,
XG
man,
you were
can't
looking at, but
Like, I mean, the thing is that we talk about Spurs needing, bigger depth and all the rest of it, but Brighton can do that to any team at any time, right? If
And
it
have.
goes their way, and they have
Yeah.
exactly. It's not the first time that Brighton have done it. I think they've gone to Anfield and won. And I mean, I think they're going to City this week, so we'll see what they do there. But Brighton have form for that kind of performance, and the sad thing is that they needed our help to score. It had 0-0 written all over it. They nullified us. They can't score goals. 0-0. And yet, right at the end, they managed to fight. Was that their fourth goal in like 8 games or something stupid?
Yeah.
I mean, they
And
can't
2 against
score.
the Goons,
Yeah. So, and even I mean, the Goon goals were at least good. Like that one was just, it was mostly us. And even then, Trossard, he tries to find the corner, but any keeper really should have saved that. I don't want to, like, Hugo saved us so many times. This is not a Hugo bashing thing, but I just thought the effort was poor.
Yeah, it was disappointing to say the least, I think. But hey ho, the end of the day, it's done. We've got to look forward. Do you think the one benefit of this, Steve, might be that we get a kick up the arse?
You'd hope so. Although single players in the tunnel after the game, they all looked pretty happy, which I was a bit disappointed about. But yeah, you got to hope so. You got to think Conte's given them a bit of a talking to after that. And I guess we've got 6 cup finals now rather than the 7.
Well, yeah. So this is obviously the Goons did us a massive favour, but Man United coming back into it. Every time we think someone's out of this top 4 race, they sort of just all of a sudden everyone else messes up, and there's a big sort of 6-point swing in a weekend.
Yeah, what does HD call it? The tallest dwarf? Is that the phrase that you use for it?
Fourth contest, yeah.
For fourth, yeah. No, I mean, like, what we before we were 3 points and so many goals ahead of Arsenal, and now we're 3 points and so many goals ahead of Man United. Nothing's really changed for Spurs, and we now have 2 teams that we need to worry about rather than just the one that we thought we only had to worry about. But I think Man United play Arsenal next week, so they can't both win that. So yeah, it's okay. If Man United Arsenal finishes in a draw, Spurs go and beat Brentford, we've gained 2 points on both of them. That has, regardless of what happens midweek when Arsenal go to Chelsea and Man U go to Liverpool, that's got to be key. If United Arsenal finishes in a draw and Spurs win at Brentford, we're laughing again. But there's too many ifs that didn't need to happen. That we should have had a point at least. As bad as we were, we should have had a point.
Yeah, well, there's your upcoming fixtures. Obviously, we've got Brentford away, Arsenal, Man United, and the beautiful thing is it's a 12:30 kickoff, isn't it, on the Saturday? So we'll know exactly what the status quo is going into that game. But I mean, we'll cover this in more detail on Friday. But Brentford, they're in really good form. It's going to be a hell of a tough game, I think. A lot tougher than Brighton, Steve.
But is it going to be a tough game in Brighton? Because we can play against teams like Brentford. We can't play against teams who stifle us and don't let us have any creativity. So I think it'll be a more open game. I certainly don't think it'll be 1-0.
Yeah.
I think both teams will get chances, and we've got to hope that in Son and Kane, we've got the better players to take chances. So I think it'll be a higher scoring affair. But what do I know? I thought we were going to end up beating Brighton. So,
well, the next 3 fixtures for Arsenal sees them play Chelsea, Manchester United, and West Ham. And Chelsea and West Ham are away. So that's a pretty tough run of fixtures. Man United, Liverpool away, obviously Arsenal away, and then Chelsea at home. So, and it's almost like a lot of these teams, we're playing the same team. So Man United have then got Brentford and Brighton. So I don't know. a Man United firmly back in at HG. It seems like a really big order for them to go away to Liverpool and Arsenal and get points, and then home to Chelsea.
I mean, this is the thing. Like, United have the players to do it, right? I mean, they beat us. We outplayed them, yet they still beat us. So, I see the comment about Ronaldo. Look, yeah, we don't know if he's going to be available for the next few games, and I guess his mind shouldn't be on that right now. But you just think if United get it right, then they could do it. I don't think Arsenal have the players to do it. I think their mind is gone. They're going to crumble even more. So if Liverpool beat United, that's a great result. Chelsea, Arsenal, of course. I don't really want either team to win, but I'd be okay if Arsenal got a point there. If I'm honest, I'd rather Chelsea won, but I wouldn't be too upset because I think looking at it right now, considering the games that Arsenal have, Man United, we can't affect them. Right, we don't have to play them, so the Man United fixtures mean more to me, I guess. And Chelsea at home. I think United won that game 4-0 last season. So you just don't know.
Yeah.
But you'd think that there are 3 very, very good teams, right? And Chelsea don't have Europe to worry about anymore, right? So it's basically just if they really want to bother, they've got an FA Cup final in 4 weeks to worry about, but otherwise league football. So, what's Tuchel going to do? Is he going to play his best 11 or is Jorginho going to start? We don't know. But I just think that, I'm more worried about Spurs. It's kind of annoying that we've got, we get 3 games that we watch and we care about before Spurs go again. But if things go our way, it takes the pressure off that, let's say, if Man United lose to Liverpool and Arsenal lose to Chelsea, there's part of you that's thinking, a point against Brighton is suddenly a very, very good result, rather than the 3 that we want. So it's so much is going to change over the next week. I love April, May football because Spurs are usually there or thereabouts.
Thick and fast. We're still in the box seat though, aren't we, Becky? We're still the team with the easier fixtures, with the points advantage. You've got to be confident, surely.
Yeah, it's still in our hands. We've still got the better goal difference as well because, with Man United only winning 3-2 on Saturday, that helped as well. They didn't really gain much from that. So there is still that side of it. And I think, like you said before, is it the kick-up that we need? We can't surely play that badly 2, 3, 4 times in a row. So that we are going to get something out of some games. And, like you just said, all those teams below us can't all get maximum points because they're all playing each other. So there is still that element of it. I just hate that we've brought Man United back into it because that's the sort of thing that Sky love, that now there's 3 teams involved in it, not just 2, and at that side of it, and I hate that. But we were never going to run away with it, as much as we hoped and begged and pleaded that I remember saying I wanted it to be done before the Arsenal game and all of that. We knew that was never really going to happen. That was just hope. So I do think we are still. But ask me that, after the Brentford game, and it might not be the case. It's hopeful still.
Beating Arsenal might not guarantee us 4th, but I do think it would guarantee us finishing above Arsenal. However we get to things at that point, and that's in 3-4 weeks. There's so many games. Like we've got the Liverpool game where none of us expect to get anything, but you just never know with Spurs. It's every time I feel like we've gone to Anfield recently, we look like we're going to get hammered, and then we don't, and we lose like in the last minute. Whether it's Alderweireld's own goal or Firmino's header, like we usually do okay. If we don't, we don't play amazing football out there, but there's the famous game when Wanyama scored the rocket. Like our record isn't amazing against Liverpool, obviously, because they're a good side, but you just never know. And the most important game is tomorrow night's, and then if Liverpool win, then we can think, okay, that. But if Man United win, then suddenly, am I cheering for Arsenal next weekend? I don't want to do that, but I may well have to be, because if United beat Liverpool and Arsenal lose to Chelsea, United are the team we have to worry about, and we want Arsenal to turn them over.
Yeah, a draw would be fine.
It would, but Bob Spur made a good point, didn't he? Because 4 or 5 weeks ago, we basically had no chance of top 4. Nobody thought we'd get into top 4. Everybody, probably deep down, most of us, were thinking Arsenal would get it. And luckily, the wheels have come off for Arsenal. United are a bit up and down, and we had a really good run of form. So I think, I agree. We're still in a good place and still in the driving seat. It's just really difficult to be. Well, it's difficult to be happy when sober, but it's difficult to be happy when we had that performance against Brighton, isn't it?
Well, you're going to have a lot of being sober, being on keto, and all the rest of it to look forward to, Steve. So enjoy this. Is how life is. Yeah. Good. Everyone all right if we just park the game there? Because I'd rather look forward and not back. Reports in the Daily Mail that apparently the Premier League's looking at having proposals for half-time interviews for managers. Maximum 5 times a season, apparently. Thoughts on that, HG? Would you be up for that?
I couldn't care less. I don't want it. I don't not want it. I just. Yeah, I don't. I mean, if it means less Jamie Redknapp, then I'm all for it.
Yeah,
but that's about it.
No, they'd probably send him down to the touchline to do the interviews.
Like if they said, because you see it in, we're talking about American football. You often see these short 30-second interviews where they just say, "What do you think you'll do in the next half?" or "How do you think that went?" If we get that, okay. And if it's a 30-second interview, then it doesn't really matter. But if it becomes one of those things where they have to go to the certain area and they get this, they get their 30 seconds with Jeff Shreves or whoever it is, I don't really care, personally.
Just on this, shout out, Matt. Can't cheer for us. However, HG's got a doppelganger that's actually a gooner, and we need to get hold. I mean, that is going to be classic. It'd be good, actually, to catch up with him and see how he thought the season, because I remember talking to him at the start of the season, he's very much like, it's not going to happen for us at all. And now look at them. All guns blazing.
I guess HG clearly stands for he's a gooner. That's the whole point of it. I've cheered on Arsenal before. I won't lie. I have cheered on Arsenal before, but purely for selfish reasons, not because I really want Arsenal to do well. And this would be no different. Gunners are runners, absolutely. And Grandpa, if you're watching, you were runners too.
Becky, where do you stand on this interviewing at half-time business?
I think HG's right. It's like they do it, don't they, at the tennis? And I know Federer hates it, where they kind of grab them before they go out on court and say, "What do you think?" And Federer always says, "I don't want to tell you what I'm going to do for the next few minutes. It's not, I don't want to be sharing that." And it's the same thing. Someone else will have a scream. If Conte's just said this is what he's going to do, whoever goes second has either heard it or watched it. The other thing as well, I think, is that they should be in the talking to the players and given that they shouldn't be talking to media. They're there to kind of give that input at halftime, and that's what they should be doing. Unless they're going to lengthen halftime, and again, is that because they want more drinks being sold and more people buying food, and then they can slot another advert in, and is it all that side of it? Because otherwise, I don't need to know what Conte said. I'm happy to wait to see it happen on the pitch. I don't need him to tell me, because he probably won't say what he did anyway, or they'll say something slightly different. I'd much rather hear from the ref after a game. If they're going to start doing that, then we need to hear from the officials as well. Why is it just the managers? So I think it's all a bit ill thought out, really.
Like, as weird as it sounds, I'd almost rather hear from fans in the stadium at halftime than the managers. Even though I know that I might get a load of rubbish, I get that anyway. So why not have someone who's actually paying a fair whack to be there, as opposed to Redknapp and Souness and whoever comes out and says how bad Spurs are.
You're auditioning for the job.
Well, yeah. I mean, no, but yes. Now you put it like that. But it's. I don't know. Like, do you remember when they did Fan Zone? Like, most of the weeks it was awful. Fan Zone was just terrible. Two randoms talking about football, but every now and again you got a classic. And I just think that would be more interesting if they're going to do something different. But I don't want to hear from Conte. Like most managers, any time are telling you 30% of the truth. So why would it be any different at half time? To me, no, it's unnecessary. It doesn't improve anything.
The only thing it might improve is if you got 20 minutes to get to the bar, you might get to the bar. So
that's what I mean. I think it's like it's a revenue thing. That's what it is. And the clubs, if they get the clubs to vote like they do, that might be what they agree to, because it's another 10 minutes to get more.
I would have no problem with it whatsoever. It's another 5 minutes at the football ground. What's
No.
not to
The
enjoy?
football just gets in the way for you, doesn't it, Caller? You just want to go there and have a good old nosh and a good old drink, and then there's a football match to watch. Oh no!
I can't believe I'm the one saying
There's the
this.
man who had about 4 salmon teriyaki things.
Yeah, but before the game, like not instead of the game.
You know what, Steve?
How am I the one saying this? We're there to watch your football, not have another drink at half time.
No. I don't want another drink at half time. I just want to get served by half time, within that gap. I mean, this won't
Can
be
you
an
not go
issue
2
for
hours
you.
without a drink?
You just walk back to your seat and it's brought to you. But
We
honestly,
pre-ordered
if you go join the queue, I'm telling you now, if you leave at the half-time whistle, right, you will not get served before it's time to get back to your seat. That's the problem.
Why would I do
And
that?
you've got to drink it. You've also got to drink it by kickoff
And you
because we
got to
did that.
drink it.
Yeah, we did that when we went in the summer. I thought, I'll have a couple of pints at half time. I swear to God, we went out to the pitch and it said 57 minutes on the clock. I was like, oops, a bit slow drinking it. Drink it faster.
They've normally scored at that point when I do that, to be fair, Becky. So.
This is the thing. So maybe we want something that moves Caller inside the stadium earlier. In fact, we want shorter half times because then he'll miss more of the game and we've got more chance of scoring. That's got to be it. We want 10-minute half times, not 20.
You got to have a drink at half time. It's the law, even if it's a bottle of Coke, and a pasty. It's fine.
But the question at hand, whether it's a shorter half time, longer half time, same half time, who cares? I couldn't be more against these interviews. I don't really see what
it's a waste of time.
I don't see what they bring. And also, Conte is famous for answering 3 questions in every press interview, and he takes half an hour to answer every bloody question. The game would have started by the time he goes back out there. So it's not going to work for Conte. But yes,
just send Paratici out.
Oh, he was golden. Going back to the Brighton game, every few minutes. Yeah, every few minutes. Second yellow. That's the only thing you could hear from the bench. Every few minutes, he was getting so irate.
I just think he's really sad that he's lost his sidekick, to be honest. But that's another.
I'd call it parrot rather than sidekick. But
yeah, well, exactly.
We all know in a few more Mitchell was going to start.
Well, there's a good segue there, Steve. There's a good segue there because a certain Troy Parrott scored again for Milton Keynes Dons on Saturday, though it was only a consolation in a 3-2 defeat. What I like about this is clearly the researcher for the run sheet only watched it, I only watched the Parrot thing and saw it was 3-1 because they did lose in the end 3-2, but it says 3-1 on my run sheet. It's definitely 3-2. Dons never quit. Damaging their automatic promotion chances. But talking of Troy Parrott, he's just banging him in for fun, isn't he? Finally, purple patch, maybe back in the first team setup next season. HG, he's 21, 22 now.
No, he's only just turned 20.
He only just turned 20?
He's February 2002 when he was born.
Oh, load him out again then. Check him in the championship, right?
Like in a perfect world, MK Dons will get promoted and he will stay there next year. That's what I would be thinking we should be doing. But yeah, it would be tempting that if he does continue this scoring run, even if it's just for a couple of months at the end of the season, that maybe a team in the championship just says, okay, we want that too. But what he needs is games. Right, I mean Harry Kane had a season in the Championship at Millwall and played relatively often, but didn't play every game for him. So it would be nice to have someone like that. But which teams are gonna do that? You just don't know who would have a space for him. So the perfect situation is that MK Dons get promoted because he knows the manager, he knows how they want to play, and if he spends another year there, then that would be to me the best thing available.
And I'd like the Dons to get promoted because they're kind of like my adopted second team, quite local. It's a nice day out down at Dons, good family club.
Do they have 20-minute half times in that league?
No, but they've got a very nice stadium with open concourses, so you can see what's going on from the concourse while you're queuing for a pie. And even better than that, they've got Papa John's as one of their lead sponsors. And they have this Papa John's cart that comes around the concourse. You'd love it, Steve. It's brilliant. It's not. It's
Well,
not
not
pizza.
anymore. I'm not allowed.
Literally, this wheelie like bin of pizza comes round. They sell it like £5 for a mini pizza. You can do all of this whilst watching the game. What more could you want?
You should work in marketing, mate. A wheelie bin of pizza sounds.
Yeah,
Can-
well, it's
can
maybe
I
doing
just
it a
say-
slight discredit, but
we had this comment from Adzi
Yeah.
talking about Spurs and going to Bruno. Like, Bruno's about an hour on the train from me. I think the Cheese Room should sponsor this trip. I will go out there. I'll go and watch a game in Bruno. I'm sure Adzi will join me. We'll
You
go
don't
there. No, but I want to see the maidens. I'm not worried about the beer. What the heck? Why should I worry about the beer? They'll have something for me. It's fine. But it's like I think I should do that. The only weird thing about Bruno is they have a very, very strange statue plinth in the middle of the city. I'll let you Google it if you want, but it's very, very odd.
We don't
That's the
talk
only thing
about
I can tell you
Bruno.
about. We don't talk about Bruno. That's very good for you, caller. I'm impressed.
There you go, sharp.
Yeah.
Not as sharp as Friday night. I thought I might cut myself, but anyway. Also on loan watch, Papi Sarr got an assist in a 1-1 draw for Metz, who played the whole second half with 10 men. Tongi and Dembele, he just got injured. He's coming back next season, isn't he? Let's face it. No, he's not convincing anyone. I mean, he was terrible in Europe in the week. Becky, how will
he got hoiked off, didn't it? Half time, and then they announced, didn't they, on Monday that they weren't going to keep him, or the rumours were that they weren't going to extend his loan. So yeah, it's inevitable now he's coming back. Don't want him back injured as well. That's even worse, because then we are really paying him for absolutely nothing.
It's a sad, sad situation, and it's getting more and more absurd, Steve.
I don't know. I was Googling statues, so I've got no idea. And I
am
horrified. Statues, I am horrified.
And ironically, didn't Lyon win 6-1 or something? They had a massive score, didn't they, after the West Ham game?
Yeah,
Don't know that.
I don't know.
There's a massive something in some of those statues, I can tell you that.
Oh, it's one of those, is it?
Yeah.
But yeah, like Tongi comes back. Well, he's not. I mean, he's coming back, but he'll go out on loan somewhere, and we'll probably have to pay, $200,000 of his 200, whatever. What was he on? Is he on 200,000?
Just sad.
Like the sad part is that we all know that actually that there's still a spot for him somewhere, but Conte just can't trust him. But when it comes to quality, and it comes like we don't expect much from our central midfielders right now. Like Bentancur and Højbjerg are good, but they're not amazing. And so you think, okay, like if Bentancur is the first choice, like Ndombele could do what he does. But he isn't doing it, and he hasn't done it for Conte, and Conte doesn't want him around, which makes all sense. He could do it easily, but he just doesn't want to. So
I think also the idea is that Lo Celso has gone to Villarreal and done well and sort of settled and felt better about things and great. And Ndombele's gone back to France and it hasn't worked out. So it's almost like he was given another chance and he hasn't taken that second chance. For everyone who's got issues with Lo Celso and whether he's right for Spurs or not, he's taken the chance that he's been given. And Ndombele hasn't. That's the thing that's such a shame.
Like it does feel as if Ndombele is, he's set for life financially. 6-year contract at $200,000 a week.
Waste of talent.
Does he need to do anything else? Right? I mean, he's working for 6 years. Like maybe he's never loved football. Maybe he only got involved when he realized what he could achieve. There's part of that, but you just have to think that was it 10.4 million a year for 6 years? You're set. You're absolutely set. You can go back and play 4 times a season for whoever he wants in France, and that would be that. But it's a massive shame because I mean he is extremely talented, not just a little bit. Like he's not playing in the right system, and we can't get the best out of him.
He could be one of the best midfielders in the Premier League, but he's got no application whatsoever. No application equals you can have all the talent in the world, but if you don't try hard, it's point.
No,
so disappointed. So disappointed. I don't want to talk about it anymore. He's getting me upset just thinking about it.
No, but there are similarities with
Dembele.
Let's
talk Salzburg instead.
I know, but I just want to say there are similarities with Dembele. Like Dembele played much better against better teams, but when he was against the team that didn't really challenge him, he didn't care as much. The problem with Ndombele is he just doesn't care at all. But it's Anyway, go on. Sorry.
Just getting too upset about Dombele, so let's move on to Lo Celso. He played 61 minutes for Villarreal. He might get a chance of staying out there though. He's done very well for them, hasn't he, Becky? He's looked good, frustratingly.
That's what I'm just saying. He was given a second chance, and he's taken that second chance. And if that's worked out, then good luck to him. We might get more for him. I don't have an issue with that. Someone goes out on loan, that's a good loan, and then that means they move on. Then that's fine. I have no problem with that.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with GLC at all, to be honest. I wanted him to really work out for us, but I've always thought he's a good player. Just needs to find his happy place. And Brian Hill played 74 minutes as Valencia lost at home 2-1. Let's talk celebrities, because this was an interesting one.
Cheered us all up, I think. I got back from Zumba, and the amount of pictures, I was like, "Ooh, look!" And everyone just all cheered up. Yeah.
Emma Raducanu, brilliant. US Open champion. Does that mean we've now won a trophy?
Yeah.
You sound like half on Twitter. That's the only thing when anything Spurs related goes into the press. Every knuckle dragger on the internet who somehow manages to punch a few keys together is like, oh, they haven't won a trophy. And I was like, yeah, cheers, mate. We all know that. So yeah, disappointing for that, but I don't think it means we've won a trophy, unfortunately. We do have the
it's just easy, isn't it? It's an easy headline for them to jump on.
We know someone likes us that's won a trophy. Therefore, there is definitely a link in there. But I didn't realise there were so many Spurs fans who are celebrities. So, Becky, there's a lovely picture of you and your boy at the tennis.
Yeah, I sent that because we were lucky enough to see Raducanu last year. I didn't know she was a Spurs fan, but Jack wore his orange goalie top again. So I think
that orange goalie top, by the way, I'm going to buy one of them because seriously, it gets picked up on TV all the time. It looks like an absolute winner. Purple just doesn't quite do it. Exactly. But look, Kyrgios, Spurs fan, didn't know that.
Yeah.
Are we sure that's not superimposed?
No, he's a real Spurs fan too. No, he really is a Spurs. I knew that one. Yeah, he is a Spurs fan.
Oh, that's good.
Ian Thorpe. Ian Thorpe's another one. The Australian swimmer was a massive Spurs fan too.
Spider-Man.
Yep. Spider-Man's a Spurs fan.
Spurs fan. Obviously, this guy, I believe you know this guy, Steve. You bumped into him in your cheese room, haven't you?
I did, yeah. He's a nice guy. Goes pretty much every game with his two kids. He's a nice guy, and they get properly into it.
Well, we've got. I mean,
Jurgen Klopp.
Would you know who that is?
I didn't know who it was when you said his name, mate. So I've got no idea.
You don't know who Kenneth Branagh is?
I do not.
You don't know who Kenneth Branagh is?
I mean, I can say I do not again, but
I just can't believe it. You're
Wow.
a man of the world, Steve. I thought you knew things like this. So
The thing is, what I like about this is you grew up in Ireland as well. So if you grew up in Ireland and as a Spurs fan, I think that's quite a nice link. So maybe he had loads of family that were like United and Liverpool, and he decided to follow Spurs. I think that's a nice story as well.
Maybe his mum knew Denny Blanchflower, and that was it. The Northern Ireland connection was there. But
Steve, are you Googling Kenneth Branagh?
I am Googling.
Oh, he's all Shakespeare, and he's
Steve.
He's a Sir, isn't he? Is he a Sir yet? Oh, he will be a Sir.
Best known for Othello, You Like. These
Harry
are
Potter.
films that I've been watching on a regular basis.
He's also been in Harry Potter. What was that film where they all moved backwards? Not Inception, the other one. It was released. Was it last year before?
He's a director as well, and he writes films.
He's just won an Oscar for that Irish film, hasn't he? Belfast.
But Steve, you were at the final game at the Lane, right?
Yeah,
and they had that big video montage, right? And there was the guy who was presenting it, like hosting the montage, sat in front of the screen. That's Kenneth Branagh. Like Spurs got him involved. He's relatively famous.
He's not relatively famous. He's massively famous. He just
I know, but I didn't want to push it in on Steve. Like, what the heck?
but I do have a link. he's done a lot of
But-
Shakespeare, and found out today that somebody went to my school, created or formed or started, whatever the term is, the Royal Shakespeare
Company.
company. Yeah,
No, he can't. No.
Well,
The fact he
I don't
couldn't
think he
finish
did.
it is perfect. The Royal Shakespeare. I
Thing.
don't know what.
Stratford upon Avon, somewhere.
English lit was not my strong point.
Clearly.
That's brilliant. Shakespeare's
There's
birthday
another
this week.
celeb.
Yeah.
Jamie Weir. There he is.
Hey.
I tell you what, if Jamie's watching and Jamie's coming on the show again before the end of the season, I wonder how many takes that photo took. Your hair's beautiful. Look at that, windswept. Right, tell me who this is then, HG.
So that is Steve Nash. Have you heard of Steve Nash?
And
Caller?
Sean, one of our patrons, by the way.
And Sean, of course, yeah. But Steve Nash,
would-
basketball player, NBA MVP, maybe twice. Certainly
Yes,
once.
he was. He was twice, yes. Yeah.
But his dad's from Edmonton or Tottenham. He grew up in Canada, but he's a big Spurs fan. Not just a kind of, I watch it every time I can. That's my team because my family. Like he's really into it.
And he is good.
So-
He's good at basketball, right?
well, he was. I mean, he's in his mid-40s, late 40s now. But in his
Just like
prime, he was one of the best basketball players of the 90s and 2000s. Yeah.
There you go. Look at that. Paul Whitehouse. Absolute legend. Do you know who he is, Steve?
No.
This is a great part of the show. Does Steve know who these people are? This is the question. The only question we need to ask.
It's the Fast Show, guys, isn't it? He's in the Fast
Yeah,
Show. He
yeah.
wrote the Fast Show. Yeah. I didn't even watch that.
We're picking a low-hanging fruit. Where's Adele? Where is Adele?
She's
Where's
coming up.
Steve?
She's in it.
We're getting
Steve,
you
we're going through the really famous people first, Steve.
Where's Trevor McDonald?
No, but like Steve,
Trevor McDonald.
Judge Rinder. Rob Rinder.
Know him.
You know him.
Yeah, I've watched daytime TV.
So your cultural radar is you don't know who Kenneth Branagh is, but you do know who Rob Rinder is, who is also a fine gentleman, but he's slightly less famous. But yeah, okay, good.
Steve, you don't know who Giulio Giorgio is. You don't know
Right.
Scorchio. You don't know Sushi.
Oh, how can you
don't
not
know
know those sketches?
Carl Hooper. Carl Hooper
Yeah.
was brilliant. Or Chip
You're
Cobb.
making up names of this.
Chip Cobb, the deaf stuntman. Brilliant. Steve, we go to Caller's Man Cave for a week because I know you've got time off work to go there and just watch everything. I know you're a little bit younger than me, but I feel sad for you.
I did have time off. But in between me saying I've got time off, I booked another holiday, so I don't have any more time off now.
We'll do a little session on your holidays at the end if you like. Now I just know this guy is Dan from Alan Partridge, but he also does that painting show, doesn't he? Watercolor challenge or something.
Yeah, and he's in the Split at the moment, isn't he?
Stephen Mangan.
Yeah.
There you go. Very funny in the Alan Partridge hits. Dan. Yeah, classic episode. J.K. Rowling. There you go. I didn't know she was a.
No.
Who knew
This
she was
surprised-
a Spurs fan?
this surprised me.
Down here.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I was surprised.
Adrian, are you talking about Caller looking like Swiss Tony? Because he does. He really does look like Swiss
Don't
Tony.
look anything like Swiss Tony.
Making everything with you, Caller, is like making love to a beautiful woman.
What about this guy? I didn't know Trevor McDonald, by the way, was a Spurs fan. Is that true?
Yeah.
No, I didn't either.
Yeah, he's number 5 on my list I just Googled.
What, famous Spurs fans?
Yep.
Have we covered the others? Who were they?
Number 10 is some guy called Kenneth Branagh or something like that. We've missed number 9. We've missed number 9, and he's even got a song about Tottenham, and he's performed at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, but not for an English.
Yeah, the Irish Welsh.
Who?
Not by a long shot. He's definitely not Welsh.
Come on, put it out, Steve.
I'm
Who,
thinking
who,
of
who?
them.
But AJ Tracy.
Oh, yeah, of course he is. Yeah, we haven't got him.
Yeah,
I've got one more slide, but I'm coming to that in a minute. Who else you got?
Jude Law.
Oh,
Reece.
there we go. Look,
Yeah, we had a picture of him.
listed
Dumbledore.
as Mama Diver's mate.
Yeah, she'll be calling now.
Do you want Steve? Tell us your Mama Diver story about this man. This because it is good.
So at the boxing, my parents went to the boxing, and they were chatting away to somebody. Mum didn't know who. Was a very nice man. Then it turned out it was Jude Law, and she just completely didn't recognise him. Had no idea who he was. Somebody else was there as well who I can't remember. My memory for celebrities is terrible, but yeah, she had no idea who he was and had a good chat with him. Said he was a very nice man.
I think it's just classic.
Very
He
nice
was
young man.
really happy, to be honest.
Hmm?
He was probably very happy that that she didn't recognise him.
True. Obviously, not recognising famous people goes in my family for me, doesn't it?
You've ruined my link. Then I was going to move on to that. Then who's next? Then come on.
Bruce Forsyth. Didn't know about that.
He's dead.
Oh, hold on. He was a Spurs fan all his life, although he did have a soft spot for Arsenal.
Yeah, but like you say this, so like my grandparents are Arsenal, right?
I have read your super chat, and it is next up in the run sheet, mate. So I'm absolutely coming to that after this little session.
But it's interesting. Like my grandparents are Arsenal, but my uncle, my youngest uncle on that side, we used to go to Spurs one Saturday and Arsenal the next, and basically did that until he decided which one he liked the most, which was Spurs. So I feel like, it's weird for us to imagine, but 30, 40 years ago, I don't think it was that weird. So I don't know, but a soft spot for another team, no. But now it seems incredible. But I think that maybe things were different. We do 70s in the 60s and 70s. I don't know.
Okay,
I think we have missed an A-lister.
An A-lister.
Mark Wahlberg.
Who?
Mark Wahlberg. He's Spurs fan.
Oh, he's not a real Spurs fan, though, is he?
He is a real Spurs fan. How is he not a real Spurs fan?
Is it like when Zac Efron was pictured in a Spurs kit, and then the next week he was at Arsenal in one as well?
Yeah. Or John Cena. John Cena in his Spurs kit. I remember
Cena
that
was
picture.
on a promotional tour of the UK and was invited to Spurs, so wore a Spurs shirt. That's how.
We've forgotten Win Evans.
To be fair, we'll take John Cena all day long because he's a WWE legend, and I'm a child that still likes watching it now and again.
No one saw that coming, did they?
But yeah, we forgot Win Evans. So he was the one who sang at the Spurs game, didn't he?
We didn't forget him. We just didn't think he was A-list enough for our list.
No, we haven't got a picture of him. No.
Is he the Go Compare guy?
Go Compare guy,
yeah.
I remember him from the final finale.
Jessie J? I didn't know Jessie J was a Spurs
fan.
fan.
Jessie J's a Spurs fan. She went to a Spurs game dressed all in red, but she is a Spurs fan. I remember seeing that.
Mm.
And
of course, this one. Trigger.
Oh, that's what I was going to say.
Oh, yeah.
We met him at Spurs, actually, and he, wonderful guy, very much a Christian, speaks very poshly, not like expect from Fools and Horses, but also turns out doesn't like being called Trigger.
He voiced Trigger voiced the Spurs montage, didn't he? Pre-match, the old pre-match montage. So
he made an appearance in Harry Potter as well, didn't he? He was Barty Crouch Senior.
Was he?
Was he? I didn't know
that.
Every single actor of the past 30 years from Britain was in Harry Potter at some point, and I've not even seen them. But
that was just for the that was for the young.
Hang on, I've missed one. I've missed one.
We haven't put it down up yet, have we?
There it is.
I knew when I sent that photo that would come up. I knew that would come up at some point.
Was that Kenneth Branagh?
No.
You love the attention, Steve. Right. Now, let's get back to this super chat. So I did a little poll. So personally, I'm not a fan of the Manilow. I'm just putting it out there. So I've got a slightly opinionated view on this, but I'm very interested to know what everyone else is. So that all of a sudden we seem to have ditched the Duel of Fates Star Wars music to most people. and we've decided to go with Can't Smile Without You before kickoff. So I put a poll up on Twitter. Keep or get rid. Get rid on 66% is in the lead. I would hasten to say that it's nothing to do with the fact that we lost like against Brighton that I'm saying get rid of it. I'm saying get rid of it because it's shite. Let's go around the room and get your views, and then I'm going to tell you some of the commentary I had from Twitter because I did say I'd read the best ones. HG, are you a fan of the Manilow?
No, I'm in the 66%. Like as a pep rally, no, definitely not.
Yeah. Becky?
Yeah, same. It's fine when you're like, in the concourse or in a pub, but it's, pre-kickoff, it's just not, it's not got a momentum. Only shouting Tottenham is the only good bit of it. No one knows the words. So like on TV on Saturday, you can really hear Barry Manilow, and that's not really the point of it.
No. Steve?
Yeah, I tend to agree. I mean, I liked that we had something to sing along to. That was nice. Something a bit more upbeat, like John said, would have been nice. And yeah, as Becky said, we sounded like Arsenal. Arsenal have one chant, that is Arsenal, and our chant at the beginning of the game was just Tottenham, and it just sounds a bit weak. So yeah, we need something else. What is something else? What do we think?
Well, it's a bit like the old Hi Ho Wolverhampton as they sing at Wolves, but at least I mean they've played that for years now. It actually sounds pretty decent when they all.
I was really surprised to hear that at Villa, though. To hear that at Villa before kickoff, I thought, oh, hey on, this is a Wolves song. Why are Villa doing it? So it worked at Villa, and they're a rival for Wolves, and it did work at Villa. It was really loud.
What do they sing? Hi Ho Aston Villa.
Yeah.
It's weird, aren't they, in the Black Country in Birmingham? I like this suggestion. It's from Stephen Kane on Twitter. The track I'd go for is Fleetwood Mac, The Chain, the old F1 music. I think that'd be awesome to run out to. Phil
you could be there in your full kit wanker red
shirt. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Go back to Glory Tottenham Hotspur. Well, we play that when we win, don't we? Yeah. But generally speaking, people are sort of saying it's boring, it's slow, we don't want it. So, hopefully, maybe if enough people moan about it, maybe they'll change it. Yeah, I've had a whole history lesson on it, but anything with the Manilow, just get rid. It's terrible. It is literally terrible dirge.
I just think, Can't Smile Without You is the, if we play Glory Tottenham Hotspur at the end of the game, then Can't Smile comes next. Like, if we win, then it comes second. If we lose, it's the first one. Because then we all know that's what Spurs are to us. And if anything, it might cheer us up, this idea that, we need Spurs in our life for those things. But to get everyone ready for an important game, I mean, literally almost anything is better. Jedward is better.
Yeah, I agree.
Right? I can't. I remember years ago. I don't want to say the name because it's got the N word that we shouldn't say. But they played it in front of the basketball, the NBA finals one year, and I was like, yeah, I love that. Just you don't need the words, just the instrumental version of in Paris. That's great. That gets you going. It doesn't have to be something from the 60s and 70s that we all know. It can be something more modern. But something that everyone knows.
Welcome to the jungle. I'll be all up,
People were saying about the, the one they play where it goes, ready or not, here I come. When they're showing the video montage. And I said, I replied to say, when that comes on, Jack just stares at the screen and he's absolutely mesmerized by the video. He doesn't sing it, but I'm usually going, oh, ready or not, yeah. So, they could use that and using the light show, and there's lots of things that they could do.
Yeah.
But the other thing that's weird about it is that they can't smile without. Yeah, but also they're not playing it every home game. So they played it at Everton because I remember hearing Everton and going, "Oh my God, they're playing that song that people have been asking for." Then they didn't play it again. Then they played it at Brighton. So there's not even a consistency that they're going to stick with it. Get us to hear it. Get used to the words. Because Jack's only 9 and he's trying to join in and he doesn't know the words. So they're going to do that. Stick with it, and at least they can learn with it. Stop deciding to use it and then not use it. There's that as well.
Okay.
Yes, Insomnia.
Good song.
But see, caller, which song would you choose, and why would it be a Coldplay song?
Could use yellow after Saturday's performance. That was fairly yellow.
Good shout. Yeah, absolutely. By the way, a couple more. I've had people tweeting in during the show. Lenny James, apparently a big Spurs fan. Did you know that? And then Gavin off of Gavin and Stacey.
Yes, of course, because he's always in the kit, isn't he?
Matt Horn,
he's always in the kit. Yeah,
Spurs fan,
of course he is.
Yeah, there's just so many.
Actually, to me, you're fired. Cool. Been wanting to tell you that for a while.
You what? Sorry,
Alan Sugar, he's a Spurs fan.
Is he though? Because he tried to wreck the club.
No, he didn't. He didn't try and wreck the club. He saved the club, caller.
I know he did. I know. Should we talk birthdays? Blimey, these get worse. The Craig twins, not the Craig twins, Matthew and Michael, who are in our Academy 19 on Saturday. Aaron Lennon's 35 on Saturday. There you go. 266 Premier League games for Spurs. How many goals? Come on, NHG. How many goals has Mr. Lennon scored? No Googling. I'll see.
You said you said 266. Let's go 10%. Let's say 25.
Okay, Becky.
19.
Steve.
I'm laughing too much. I just read one of our other famous fans. I wasn't even listening. Sorry.
How many? Right. Okay, I'll repeat it for you.
I'm going to go 17 because I heard Becky say 19.
Okay. Aaron Lennon, 266 Premier League games, 26 goals.
Oh, 10%!
Wow,
I should have gone with it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! I was like 10%. I thought some schmuck is going to be like 10% is not 25. It's 26.
I mean, that's Premier League. That is Premier League games. All games, 364 games, and 30 goals. So there you go. Chris Jones is 66 today. Played 164 times for us, 37 goals between the years of 73 and 82. 9 years, long time. And tomorrow, Joe Hart will be 35. Unfortunately, his record is slightly less impressive. 10 games for Spurs and no Premier League appearances. On this day, 2019, Manchester City 4-3 Spurs quarterfinal. So yeah, it was the quarter-final second leg on this day. It's just getting further and further away, isn't it?
I think it was yesterday, but yeah, I think it was yesterday, but still.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Is that Llorente's hip? Llorente's hip goal. Yeah.
Yeah, it was indeed. Interesting fact: the 19th man was a young Troy Parrott. There you go. And on this day in 2016, Stoke 0, Spurs 4. Our last win of the season. So there you go.
In that nice blue kit with the kind of the pale blue and the dark blue through the middle.
Yeah,
I like that kit.
Think it was. Yeah, Kane with a brace and Dele with a brace. So there you go.
So cool. Can I say this is going to be tickling me and making me chuckle until I get this out. So we're always a nearly club, aren't we?
Are you still looking at birthdays?
No, famous fans.
Famous fans. Okay, go on then.
Always a nearly club. So we don't have Jay-Z as a fan. We've got Lazy as a fan. I've no idea
who.
Lazy. That's one of our top fans, apparently. Don't know who they are. I'm assuming a rapper, but
has anyone said Bob Marley yet? Does he count?
He's not a fan. It was photoshopped, wasn't it?
I have no idea. I see his name come up a lot. So
Louis Van Gaal is a Spurs fan, apparently.
I just want to touch on this. So there's a special show this Wednesday. We've got Steve Perryman on the show with Brendan, Paul Muir, with Tim Vickery joining us. Of course, Tim Vickery, BBC legend. And a Spurs legend and a true legend, Steve Perryman, absolutely. I mean, his record for Spurs was just unbelievable and won so much with us as well. So they're going to be joining us on Wednesday. This is part of our fundraising campaign for the Favela Food Fund. So links will be on the show to make sure you can donate your hard-earned cash for what is a very a very touching project, really, to be honest. Lots of really poor kids and helping to feed those in need. Phil,
This joke needs to be. That is very good, Phil. I know we've been serious about
lazy.
Very good.
Yeah,
lazy. Take his rap name.
Your timing's a little bit off, really. But yeah, very funny. That should be an absolutely cracking show. Lots of Cheese Room this week. Obviously, the podcast is out now. Was released yesterday on all good podcast providers. So do get your ears around that. We're back Friday with a match preview for Brentford. That will Christian Eriksen come back to haunt us and more questions, I'm sure. It should be a banging week. Let's hope that we have a better weekend next weekend. Can you imagine if we'd have won? We'd have been like 6 points clear.
But we were never going to win. We could still be playing today and we still wouldn't have scored. I don't think it was ever going to happen. It wasn't like missed chances. It was never going to happen.
Yeah.
It wasn't our day.
We're one game closer. I mean, like if we get Champions League with 62 points and we only get 5 points for the rest of the season, I won't care as long as we finish fourth. Because and that's the thing. Like you look at Arsenal, are they going to get 8 points between now and the end of the season? It's questionable. I mean, they might, but do you know what I mean? Like the way they're playing, you'd still think that victories are going to be what brings in whoever it is to the table. And if Spurs get enough, I think if we win 3 games, that might be enough. I mean, really. So it's it really is.
This fourth contest is reaching a climax.
Yeah.
Are you saying if we win games, we're more likely to get fourth? Is that the analysis?
Well, but 3 out of 6. I mean, we've got 6 games left, right? And if the thing is, because it's I've said all season that if you win more than half your games, you have a really good chance of getting top 4, right? And that's why Spurs and Arsenal are where they are, because I think both of them have only drawn 3 games. We've lost a ton, but we win. Winning games obviously helps, right? But like where we are now with the advantage we have, if we get 3 victories, and then like say that we beat Brentford and we beat Norwich and we beat Burnley, that literally might be enough, which is scary to think. I don't want that to be the case, but if we are only say 10 points, it won't be mathematical. But you look at the games the other teams have, 10 points might be enough. It really, but yeah, whoever does it, it's a celebration because you achieve your goal, but not because you're any good.
Now, really important message. Cheese Room merch is flying around the world at the moment, exclusively for patrons. If you want to join our Patreon, the details are in the scrolling ticker. There are some people. Look, there's a Cheese Room. Shout out Daniel, Cheese Room patron. T-shirt that made it to the ground. Look at that.
That's a great picture.
Mark, there he is with his mug. So yeah, do get your Patreon subscription. All the details are down there. It's £3 a month. And with the year subs, we send you some fantastic merch, along with all the other benefits, chat room, fancy football, blah, blah, blah. There's absolutely loads of benefits of being part of our Patreon community. We would love to have you along the ride with us. Becky, thanks for joining us again. Will you be there at Brentford by any chance?
No. I think even my 11th hour request for a ticket, it's not going to happen. I wouldn't. There's far more worthwhile people to go for that one. I wouldn't get one.
But I'm at Leicester. Out for a ticket? Will you be like pushing it out there, like give me a ticket?
No, I don't.
But if anyone wants to donate Becky a ticket, then
yeah, you can. I'll have one. But I think the chances aren't there. They're low. But no, we're at Leicester. Me and Jack are back at Leicester, and I'm going to Leicester with my friend who I met at the Borough game, Jo. So she's coming here to Chester, and then we're going down in my car. So that'll be nice.
Long journey. I'll be at that one. Steve, you'll be at Leicester doing Conte Cam, will you?
I will. I don't think I'm going to be at Brentford though, which is disappointing and a sore point. Currently negotiating with a club for a ticket, but it's not going well.
Did you say negotiating with a club? Most people just, like join the virtual queue for a ticket. What's
sending increasingly angry emails as to why I haven't got a ticket. Sorry, John, but yeah, I don't think we're going to Brentford, but we'll be doing the rest of the home games at least. It might even be all the way.
I think I'm at all the remaining home games now. So
You are?
I've got a ticket for Liverpool. I'm going to Liverpool. It's only 23 miles from my house, so I couldn't really not go to Liverpool, could I?
local one, yeah. Well,
Might
I
be
mean,
there. The game.
oh, you
not
going
your
to
house.
that one, Steve?
Potentially, yeah.
Potentially.
He's negotiating.
It's still in negotiations, yeah.
I've got 2 tickets to Liverpool, but I don't know who's going up there yet.
Me and you?
No.
Okay. HG, thanks as ever for joining me. Good to have you back on the show. And thanks for being on. And until next time, come on, you Spurs. Go, you Spurs.
Oh, you Spurs.
Come on, you.
Yes.